as we see that this vote is occurring, the changes and minorities are picking up the pace, going out to vote, there's specific topics that have come forth that even in talking to those people that were in line with me, that brought them out to vote. And one of those issues was of course, this whole gambling issue was one of the issues that literally brought them out. They wanted to, for some reason, wanted to vote on this issue. So with that whole piece, did you agree with this whole question 7 about gambling? Yes, thanks.
Well, no, I didn't agree with it because it's the same thing as the lottery. If there's no earmark, we have to get to a point where we understand policy. If it's not written, it's not so. So it becomes the same game every year. It may hit the general budget because we elected and voted it in. However, it's every man for themselves and God for us all once it hits the legislature. So I think that we need to get savvy. We need to be more educated when we vote. And I think also we need to put more pressure on these people that we call lawmakers to articulate that in the policy so we won't get to a point where we think we have it and we really don't.
Okay. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little bit about capitalizing as well. And the idea is that you see so much money and so many people going to West Virginia to capitalize on their slots and everything like that. So the idea was, here's an open market. And like many smart entrepreneurs think about, let's build here and let's attack. They're not really thinking about the environment, the community. They could care less. It's about top dollar. It's about making money. And I just thought it was so interesting with the ads, the litany of ads that came over and over and over and over and over again. You saw both sides of every argument. And so my first thought was, yeah, let them come here instead of people going to West Virginia. That was my initial thought of it. But I'm not from the city. And so when I started speaking to someone who's from the city, they said, you might have an increase in crime. We don't want them here. So when I actually sat and spoke to someone who's actually going to be affected by it, my opinion changed. And I thought that was something that was very important too, of these issues where from afar it's easy to say, yeah, I agree with that. But when you're not living it, it's really different.
I agree with question 7. I mean, for me personally, when people say that it will bring crime or it will bring all these things that are negative, I think that that's what I see every day. You see what I'm saying? Me personally, I like to try something different. This is something that would be new, something that's new to the community, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's negative just because it is a casino. So I think that people are taking it because it's going to be a casino, that it's just going to be this huge negative thing, and not saying that casinos don't bring negativity, but it also has the possibility to bring some type of positivity and something different to the community. I live in the city. I've always lived in the city, and something different like that. That's the most I can say, is that it'll give us something different, a different opportunity.
What was interesting, if the panel we heard Sister Chanel said that this was something new. Do you guys agree that this gambling is something new?
I don't. Pimlico has been with us for years, and if you look at the stats and if you look at what the gentleman said before about the social ills, there's studies that prove that these things do come. And I think as an African American, we need to be aware of those studies because those who are impacted are us. So while the powers that be make the money from the gambling, we suffer the ills that come in from the gambling. Also, too, you have tourists that come in. So if all of your money is being benefited at the top level, you have to look at some type of equalizers to say, okay, we can try something new, but let's try something new that benefits us across the board. People were excited, and I really think that people who supported question 7 in the city, especially with the unemployment rate was so high, was because they saw it as a point of hope. And I'm not saying don't let it be a point of hope. What I'm saying is that you have to have the leadership and the ability to negotiate your position. If you're going to gamble, you're going to gamble. I won't disagree. However, let it benefit our community.
I took it from a different perspective, more of a legislative perspective. As Ms. Smith said, like, if it isn't written, it doesn't happen. And the thing that bothers me most is that people always talk about former laws that weren't passed and how they said it was going to work this way and it didn't, but you reelected those same people. Like, Maryland is one of the most democratic states in the union. Like, very few the representatives that go to Congress or the state officials have to really worry about a Republican opponent because they really don't have any. We will vote for the same people over and over again because it's comfortable, it suits us, it's what we're used to. The reason that these people write these laws that don't benefit the city, that don't really affect the communities, because we allow them, we reelect them. How many broken promises have they made? How many false facts have they had? So that was my point. I didn't vote for it because I said, if I voted for it, what's going to change? The people behind me are going to vote for the same legislator, and nothing's going to change after that.
And the whole aspect, you wanted to respond, but let me just say, in looking at, there's an aspect that the team, the panel, didn't look at, that I look at, which is the aspect of the mental health aspect of gambling, which is, they look at it and the studies clearly show that whenever there is a access to gambling in an area, the increase for what there is no real addiction, but the addiction to gambling is increased. There's a peak, it goes up, and it becomes, and African Americans have a higher prevalence rate of gambling than do any other. They did the studies, they looked at Nevada, where we know that one of the wonderful casinos are. They have the highest incidences, prevalence of gambling issues, people losing homes and cars and families due to gambling in that area. So there is some literature that shows that there is some issues whenever gambling shows up in an area, that it peaks out and then it goes down. Maryland itself, they did a study, University of Maryland, they did a study, and it's an old study because they haven't done anything new, but they looked at the fact that in Maryland, the numbers are pretty low right now. The highest incidence of gambling is the youth with the gambling in the streets.
Right.
So you can imagine if they had started out young, utilizing gambling in the street, and it's some way they can have access to when I become 21, that's an easy gateway in to the whole gambling life. So that's just something to think about.
Right. I mean, I guess I just see it a little differently. I try to think of the positivity in it. I mean, as of right now, currently, the job situation in Maryland is outrageous. The rates that students who are graduating and can't find jobs in their field, I think is outrageous. I think that it gives us, this community, a chance to employ people in our community and give these people the skill sets that can progress them. I think we just need some hope. We need something different. Like, this city is just so humdrum, and I think we need something new.
And I can agree with that we need some hope. I'm just hoping that we don't allow gambling to be our hope.
Right.